Hello, my friends. Welcome back to our study along of the World Order of Baha'u'llah, Selected Letters by Shoghi Effendi. If you are just stumbling upon this video or tuning in for the first time, welcome. Linked below, you will find the launch video for this project to give you like an orientation of what, who, when, where, why, all of that stuff. So that's the pledge video linked in the description. You will also find this document if you want to follow along, as well as a study guide and the playlist for the weekly videos of this study along, this reading along, leading up to today. So welcome. These videos come out every Friday at 2 p.m. And I just want to remind you to like the video, subscribe to this channel, and feel free to comment and share with anyone you think would enjoy this content. So we are in the middle of paragraph 37 of the letter from 1933 called America and the Most Great Peace. And last week we were reading through some of the accomplishments of the American Baha'i community on behalf of their international brethren. Once again, this is 1933, so everything that's being referenced is that year or prior, and they exerted efforts to help their oppressed believers who were suffering persecution and limitations of their faith and that sort of thing in Egypt, in the Soviet republics, and in Persia. And now picking up, again, the middle of paragraph 37, it was the publicity which the efforts of their American brethren had created, the protests they were led to make, and the appeals and petitions they had submitted, which mitigated these sufferings and curbed the violence of the worst and most tyrannical opponents of the faith in that land. And he's talking about Persia, modern-day Iran. Who else, if not one of their most distinguished representatives, has arisen to force upon the attention of the highest tribunal the world has yet seen the grievances which a faith robbed of one of its holiest sanctuaries had suffered at the hands of the usurper? So there was this petition made. It would be like nowadays if when there are human rights violations and there's a petition taken to the UN. It's sort of like that. There was a petition made at the time on behalf of the Baha'is in Iran. Who else had succeeded in securing through patient and persistent effort those written affirmations which proclaim the justice of a persecuted cause and tacitly recognize its right to an independent religious status? The commission is the resolution passed by the Permanent Mandates Commission of the League of Nations, quote, recommends that the Council should ask the British government to make representations to the Iraqi government with a view to the immediate redress of the denial of justice from which the petitioners, and it says the Baha'i Scriptural Assembly of Baghdad, have suffered. You know, it's so interesting because we're like still in the same place, you know, with the intensity of the persecution of Baha'is in Iran, and it is, you know, still a massive human rights violation, and we're still doing this sort of thing, you know, petitioning on an international scale for their religious freedom and expression, and, you know, for them not to have their life ended, imprisoned, or curtailed by not being able to run businesses or pursue higher education. So this has been going on for a few decades. But Shoghi Effendi is, you know, appreciating the American Baha'is who have made efforts on this behalf. Has anyone else except an American believer been led to obtain from royalty such remarkable and repeated testimonies to the regenerating power of the faith of God, such striking references to the universality of its teachings and the sublimity of its mission. Quote, "The Baha'i teachings, such is the Queen's written testimony," and this, I take it, is Mary of Teck, King George V's wife, Queen Mary. "The Baha'i teachings brings peace and understanding. It is like a wide embrace, gathering together all those who have long searched for words of hope. It accepts all great prophets gone before. It destroys no other creeds and leaves all doors open. Saddened by the continual strife amongst believers of many confessions and wearied of their intolerance towards each other, I discovered in the Baha'i teachings the real spirit of Christ so often denied and misunderstood. Unity instead of strife, hope instead of condemnation, love instead of hate, and a great reassurance for all men. Have not the American adherents of the faith of Baha'u'llah, through the courage displayed by one of the most brilliant members of their community, been instrumental in paving the way for the removal of those barriers which have, for well nigh a century, hampered the growth and crippled the energy of their fellow believers in Persia?" So first off, if you know for sure who this one individual is, the courage displayed by one of its most brilliant members of the American Baha'i community, please drop in the comments who this one individual is. I can only think of Martha Root, as I know that she was very good at talking to people of all ranks of life, and she definitely shared the faith with royalty. So that's where my mind goes. But if you know who it is, please drop in the comments. But even not knowing who it is, it's a reminder that every single one of us has a capacity, has a power, and has a responsibility. Like that one person can be instrumental in paving the way for the removal of these incredible barriers. Like that one person in whatever contemporary context could literally be you or me. You know? It's just important to remember. So the removal of those barriers, which for well nigh a century hampered the growth and crippled the energy of their fellow believers in Persia. Is it not America who, ever mindful of Abdu'l-Baha's passionate entreaty, has sent out to the ends of the earth a steadily increasing number of its most consecrated citizens, men and women, the one wish of whose lives is to consolidate the foundations of Baha'u'llah's world-embracing dominion? So there's a life goal, you guys. A one wish of whose lives is to consolidate the foundations of Baha'u'llah's world-embracing dominion. Consolidate the foundations of Baha'u'llah's world-embracing dominion. In the northernmost capitals of Europe, in most of its central states, throughout the Balkan Peninsula, along the shores of the African, the Asiatic, and South American continents, are to be found this day a small band of women pioneers who, single-handed and with scanty resources, are toiling for the advent of the day Abdu'l-Baha has foretold. Wow. Did not the attitude of the greatest holy leaf, as she approached the close of her life, bear eloquent testimony to the incomparable share which her steadfast and self-sacrificing lovers in that continent had had in lightening the burden which had weighed so long on, and so heavily on her heart. And finally, who can be so bold as to deny the completion of the superstructure of the Mashral Asgar, the crowning glory of America's past and present achievements, has forged that mystic chain which is to link more firmly than ever the hearts of the champion builders with him who is the source and center of their faith and the object of their truest adoration. All right, my friends, we have one more paragraph for this letter. I'm going to leave it for next time. Once again, I want to remind you to like the video, subscribe to this channel, share it with your friends, your communities on social media, if you think that it's enriching and helps you study, helps you think about this content throughout the week and find applications for your own life, let alone just a deeper understanding of Baha'i history and Baha'i principles. Feel free to comment, share your research, share your thoughts, your questions, your ideas. And if you would like to support this channel, if you believe in the work that I'm doing, there are links below for different ways you can support my work and support this channel. Until next time, I wish you the best for playing your unique part in making this world a better place. Remember, one person can make a huge difference. Bye-bye.